And let's go back to sharing my screen. So yes, and also I want to thank people beyond the TELTA team who are putting all of this together. There's also people at the United States Embassy who, without their financial assistance and assistance internationally, we wouldn't be able to do these. So thank you very much to all of them. And Laura Shio in particular, who every time we meet and work amazes me with her ability to put things together and hold things together. So thank you, Laura, if you're out there listening. And yes, we are broadcasting all over the world. When we do these recordings, we put them at Facebook, and people have joined us from the Philippines, from across America, and have joined us from in different parts of Africa. And I think tonight, or right now, would be a good time to remind everyone that your microphones should all be muted during the presentations, unless you're participating in a breakout room or a discussion here in the general room. And that reminds me of my next point. Please today, when you're invited to join the breakout rooms, do so. Take advantage of the breakout rooms. It's your chance to speak and be heard. Whoever's microphone is open, could you please close that? Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so yeah, when you get a chance to join breakout rooms, everyone, please take the opportunity. It's your chance to speak and be heard by your colleagues and by the other members in our group. And this is why we're here, to practice English and to practice communicating with each other. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. And let's proceed with our presentation. What we're doing today in session 3 is 2 parts. Again, I invite everyone to stay tuned for the second part. I think it is clearly the most valuable part of today's presentation. And that's a very useful set of 10 tips for classroom management, which Irene Maganga, I hope I'm saying your name correctly, Irene. I apologize if I'm not. But Irene, it's a wonderful presentation. I invite you and I encourage you to stay on board. Euphoruma, please. Yes, everyone should have their microphones muted. Okay, so today we're going to talk about teaching writing and learning writing and taking the mystery out of doing it. Across the world, whenever I meet English students or teachers of English, almost to a person, they say that the hardest of the 4 skills for them to master or to teach is writing. Speaking is right there with it, but writing is the more difficult and the more challenging task for us to master as we go through learning English. Any language, really, I think. Writing is the most challenging aspect. But what I want to do today is to simplify it a little for us, to talk about some things we can do that make writing easier to teach and make writing easier to learn, and to make our writing more effective. And I'm going to leave you today with a couple pieces of advice, but we'll come to them. And again, whenever we meet, I promise you that I will try and give you at least 1 or 2 things that you can take home, you can take back to your classrooms, that you will immediately put to work. And in addition to that, from me today, you will get countless tips and wonderful pieces of advice and information from Irene in the next presentation. Just an amazing presentation about what you can do, little things that you can do with how we manage a classroom from when students come in until they leave. So worth sticking around for. Okay, we're going to start now with an exercise where we're going to go to breakout rooms. I'm going to ask everyone who's here, please join a breakout room as soon as you can. And what we're going to do now is think about writing for a moment. All of us have had to write a research paper or an article or a report in our academic lives or our professional lives. And so what I'd like to do now is think about how we start writing. What do we do when we get a writing assignment? If a teacher gives a student a writing assignment, what do the students do? If a teacher gets a writing assignment from perhaps a supervisor or a boss, what do they do to start the writing process for themselves? And perhaps you're being asked to deliver a presentation at work. What do you do to begin this? Where do we start, and what are some basic things that we all agree on when starting a writing process or a writing project, excuse me. I gave a little hint there. And we're going to take about 7 to 10 minutes in the breakout rooms, please. And I'm going to set those up now. Okay. And again, I hear people's microphones. If you could, please mute them while I set up the breakout rooms. I think we'll set up 4 rooms to start. Let's hope that's enough. And we'll go from there. Here we go. At this point now, everyone should be joining rooms. Gerashon, Michael, Rashid, Oxygenated Studio, interesting name. Elizabeth, Petro, you're here. Good to see you, sir. Cosmos.
And nice to see you too, sir.
Okay, everyone should be joining now. Here we go. The rooms are open. Thank you, everyone. And if you could help, if you see anyone, any students that you know, if you guys could kind of encourage them to get them in the rooms, let's do that. Okay. And again, I encourage everyone to join a room right away. This is your chance to speak and to hear your colleagues and to share your wonderful professional experience and ideas. Thank you. Please go ahead and try. If you're having any issues connecting, just do your best, keep trying. But you should be joining breakout rooms. You shouldn't be here with me. Michael Songa, if you can try. Raymond, Oxygenated Studio. We really shouldn't be signed in with monikers. We should be using our real names. So if we could take care of that, please. And let's see, who else? Raymond Chua. Raymond, if there's any way you can join a room, thank you. And very good, we're down below. Veronica, that is a wonderful picture, Veronica. Veronica, is there any way you can join a room though? That would be great. Judith Joseph. It's nice to see pictures, but I would like to see everyone in a room. Lucas, if you could join a room, please. You, Haruma, could you join a room also? That would be great if you could. Lucas, you're supposed to be in room 1. If you could join. Thank you. Okay, Kasim, I'll go ahead and assign you to room 2. And Kessia, you can join any room you like. I'll go ahead and put you in room 4, but you can bounce around
Okay.
as a co-host. Thanks, Kessia.
Okay, fine.
And again, anyone who's here with me, please, you should be joining the breakout rooms if you can. This is really a great opportunity to speak with your colleagues and to share information and to speak in English. This is your chance. This is why you're here. So I hope you're able to join the rooms. I see Lucas is still with me and Veronica. Ann and Fred, I'll try and assign you to rooms. Here we go. Ann, I'm going to go ahead and send you to room 2. Fred, I'll send you to room 4. Thank you very much. Okay. Fred, I went ahead and gave you an invitation to room 4, if you can join there. Okay. Give it a try if you can, Fred. You're in group 4, the breakout room. Hi, Lucas. I see you're still here with me. If there's any chance Lucas and Judith can join rooms, that would be really great. Give it a try, please. Again, this is your chance to speak and be heard. I really encourage you to take opportunity. This is a great chance. You have an international forum here to practice your English and hear your colleagues and to share things. I'm going to leave the rooms open. Irene and Petro, I think I'll leave the rooms open another 3 minutes. Is that about right? Does that feel right?
Could you come again, MJ?
I'm saying I think I'll leave the breakout rooms open another 3 minutes.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. And then we'll see what people have to share from each room. So thanks. It seems like most people joined rooms right away this time. So I'm happy about that. Hi, Diaz. I'll go ahead and assign you to a room, to room 2. Thanks. Okay. I just sent a message to everyone that will take 2 more minutes, folks, and then we'll come back. I hope we'll get some good ideas. Oh, okay, everyone should be rejoining us shortly now, in the next minute. There we go. Everyone's coming back. We have 30 seconds left till everyone should be rejoining us, and we will resume sharing the screen at that time. Excuse me. Ten, 9, 8. I love a countdown. 5, 4, 3. Okay, all the breakout rooms should be closed and everyone should be back joining us. And I want to thank you all again for your efforts with the breakout rooms and remind you that the breakout room is your chance to participate in these sessions. Because we have such a large audience, we can't do a lot of interaction in the large group. We're going to do a little now. We're going to share some ideas. And Irene will do that again during her presentation. But most of your chance to speak will be when you're in the breakout room. So please take advantage of that, okay? It's your chance to talk to each other and your colleagues about what you're thinking and sharing your wonderful experience and expertise in the field of teaching. So, okay, now I would like to ask someone from each group. Let's start with group 4 today. Whoever was in group 4, if you could tell us some of the ideas that you guys shared about how you start a writing project. Anyone from group 4 that can share? If you could raise your hand, that would be wonderful. Judith, I see you. Is that you? Judith, did you have anything? No? Anyone from group 4 that would like to add anything? Who was in group 4? Can anyone raise a hand who was in group 4? You were in group 4? All right, I'm going to ask you to speak. I have a volunteer. Where did you go, Eward? Oh, there we go, Cosmos. Okay, Cosmos, were you in group 4?
Yes.
Excellent. Can you share some ideas with everyone?
Okay, I was in group 4 and we have discussed these several issues. Teaching on writing. So that.
You're breaking up very badly. I'm having trouble hearing you. Can anyone else hear him? Are we having any trouble?
Okay.
Try again, Cosmos.
Okay, thank you. First of all, we have discussed several issues concerning teaching on writing. The first one is that you should have a task to give them. That is a topic. And then for beginners, we said that you should have teachers first word class, noun, pronoun, adjectives, verbs, so that they can have words to write. And also there are issues concerning teaching spellings. It is very important on writing correct words.
Yes, very good.
Is that
yes.
what you have discussed?
Wonderful. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Cosmos. Anything else you'd like to add before I ask for someone from group 3? Okay, how about group 3? Thank you, Cosmos. Thank you, group 4. And Frank, I see Frank and Rashid. I'll take you guys in that order. Frank, I'll come to you now. What would you like to share with the group, Frank?
Okay, in our group number 4, we discussed about different choose strategies. Normally, writing can be taught maybe through dictation, through storytelling. Also, you can give students some words or misspelled words, then you ask them to write it in a correct way. That's what we have been discussing in our group.
Okay, for starting a writing project, give them a list of vocabulary and tell them to put this into their writing. Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Okay, thank you very much, Frank, for sharing and from that group. Rashid, you have your hand. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Can you share with us, Rashid?
Yeah, what we have been discussed also in providing a task to the student, first you need to prepare the topic that you want them to write a task about it. And then you need to create a theme or the message that what you want to know, how they learn or how idea they get on the task. So that's what have been discussed also.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, you just reminded me of something, Rashid. I need to properly introduce myself again to Group 4. I've been doing these sessions each week, and I forget that sometimes people don't remember my name. I'm MJ. That's what you can call me. All of you may call me MJ or Matthew. That's what my friends call me. And you are my friends and colleagues, so I want you to feel comfortable doing that. So, okay, so what I'm hearing so far from the groups is that how we approach giving an assignment for writing to students. What I'm curious about here now, what I'd like to know is how you as teachers, if you have to write something, how do you begin a writing project? What do you do? Anyone care to share anything with the floor? I would, Rashid, you have more you'd like to add? That would be great. Feel free. And Onesmo, you're joining us. Rashid, let me call on Onesmo first, and then we'll come back. Onesmo, you have something to share with the group?
Yes, thank you, MJ. I prefer responding to your question as an expert. You know, I'm a linguist, and now approaching writing, it depends on what type of writing you are just planning to write. If it's an article or a report or a presentation, it have different approaches. So an article obviously is just the scholarly writing, and so you need to adhere to different ethics of writing, but you need to have a theme. What are you writing to? What are you planning to write about? So if it's a research article, for example, a journal article, you need to have the data, but how do you start writing that article? So you need to organize your points. You need to organize your themes.
May I ask a question, Onesmo?
Please, you're welcome.
I'm curious because I think you're correct that when we do different kinds of writing tasks, we have different steps that we have to do for articles, sure, research papers, or essays or letters. But would it be fair to say that we begin all of those with a couple of the same steps?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was looking for. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
You need to have ideas and themes. Now you need to consider again, who is your audience, who is going to read your writing.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's a big consideration.
Yes. So you need to consider, if you know your participant, the audience or the readers of your work, then that will dictate how you should structure your write-up. Yeah. Thank you for now.
Thank you, Onesmo. That was wonderful. All of those comments and all of that input was wonderful. And Rashid, I see your hand is still up. Is there anything else you'd like to add before I move on? More than glad to hear it. Or is your hand up from before? I think your hand may be up from before. Okay, I'm going to carry on here. And there's some things that I would like to share now about the writing process and about what I do when I write. And again, I liked what I heard about we need a topic or we need a task. We need to know the instructions. All of these things are very important. They're all part of what adds up to the writing process. Writing is not one step or one thing, I think is what we're going to take away from all of that. And there are some things, as Onesmo and I were talking about, that are universal to all writing tasks. Whether you're writing a research paper, whether you're writing an article, whether you're writing a play or a poem, you're going to use certain steps that are universal in all of these tasks. And we're going to talk about some of those today. And I'm going to hopefully be able to offer you some advice and tips that will make writing easier for you and for your students. And of course, by doing that, making it easier to teach writing to your students. So, okay, thank you everyone for participating in that exercise. That was wonderful. And so now I want to talk about TOWR, TOWR. I love my acronyms. You remember proper preparation. We're going to come back to the 5 Ps in a few minutes. But the writing process is something that I learned long ago when I was in journalism school back in Chicago. I used the writing process all throughout college, while I was on radio, while I was an attorney, and I've used it as a teacher and presenter. It is the recipe for anything I do when I write or speak. Today's presentation is the product of the writing process that's in front of you now. Okay, and TOWR is the way to remember it. Think, organize, write, and review. We'll come to that in a moment. But the first thing that I want to suggest to everyone when we start a writing process, the writing process, is that we don't use our pen. We don't use our keyboard. We use our heads. We go up here. We think first, and then we start to write or type and get our words and ideas down. But it begins with thinking about the writing task we have, the topic we have. Excuse me, is someone, did someone want to add something? I hear a microphone open. If you can close that, please, that would be a huge help. Thanks. Okay, so we're going to talk about the writing process in terms of time versus words. The writing task that you have, perhaps it's you're writing an article for a newspaper or for the radio. I used to be in radio and in newspapers. You have what's called a deadline. That deadline tells you when it's due. Your teacher wants the assignment by the end of today. Your boss wants the paper tomorrow. The presentation has to be delivered next week. So it's always a question of time versus the amount of words that we're going to write. How many pages, how many chapters, how many words? Perhaps it's a test and we're telling our students 250 words or 200 words in this amount of time. So it's always about time versus words and how we manage that. And remember when we talked about effective time management, that if you don't manage the clock, time will manage you. And that's just not, you cannot live that way. If we want to be able to eat and we want to be able to take care of ourselves and we want to be good leaders as teachers, we have to be able to manage our time. And that includes the way we use our time when we write. Okay, so it starts with ideas up here. We brainstorm, we get our ideas. And then once we have enough of those ideas up in our head that we got to let them out. The ideas are up here. We have to let them out. Then we pick up our pen or we reach for the keyboard and we start getting them down. And we're not writing complete sentences yet. We're not writing a book yet. We're writing ideas, maybe one word, maybe a number, maybe an abbreviation, something that will trigger the complete thought in your mind. Maybe DOB for date of birth, or for Chicago, for city where I was born. All of these ideas you will later expand into sentences, but you'll start with the idea. And the way you start with it is to put it down. And then you organize it. 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. And you start to put it in order in your head and on the paper. And this is your roadmap for what you're going to write. And this is why it's important that we prepare when we write. And again, one of my favorite 5 Ps, the proper preparation produces positive writing. We can replace performance with writing, 4 Ps and a W. But the point is that proper preparation will give you better writing. It gives us better everything, but writing in particular, perhaps you can get away with writing a short text message or a short email and not concern yourself with organizing and preparing. Excuse me. But you cannot do that with larger, more important writing projects. The more complex or larger a writing project is, the more you need to simplify it and shrink it And the way that you do that is with proper preparation. And that comes in the form of an outline, tower. We use the writing process. We start by thinking before we write. We organize our ideas, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. We use an outline to do that. We're going to talk about that next. And then comes the fun part. We've organized our outline. We've got it. We know what we want to write now. We're ready to start actually writing. And we're going to write our ideas into sentences and paragraphs. Okay, every week or every session, I promise you at least 1 or 2 things from me that you can keep and that you can use. So if you haven't been listening very closely, or you're bored, or you're not sure what's important, let me tell you now. Spoiler alert, what I'm about to tell you is probably the most valuable thing I will tell you today. For those of you who are writers and want to write, whether it's poetry or plays or articles or research papers, and you want to teach writing, learn to teach and learn to do the following. Write short, powerful sentences. Let me say it again. Write short, tight, powerful sentences. Try to get from the beginning of a sentence to the end of a sentence with as few words as possible. Pretend you are paying for those words. Word economy will give your writing power. Will make it easy for you to write correctly. And let me use an example now for how we do that. All of us have to travel. We drive to work, we walk to work, we go to school, we walk or drive, we take a bike. However, we have to travel distances from our home or from our work, from our school. The longer we have to travel, the further we have to travel, the more chances that we're going to have an accident or a flat tire or run out of gas or something is going to happen that we didn't want to happen, because we're going further distances. The shorter the distance we go, the easier it is to get from point A to point B without a problem. If I only have to walk to my kitchen and back, I'm probably going to be okay. If I have to walk 100 miles, I got a lot of preparation to do, and I'm probably going to stumble along the way. And that's how it is with writing. If you write long sentences that try and say a lot, you want to put every thought into one sentence, you're going to end up with mistakes. You're going to end up with a sentence that is, it never ends. And it's better to write short, powerful sentences. And I will give you an example now before I move on. Let's say that I'm teaching a class with you. We're in a building, and I walk into the classroom and I say, "Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, I believe there's a conflagration in the corridor and we must exit the premises post haste." I wouldn't blame you if you looked at me like I was speaking Greek or Italian. What did he say? Now let's try it this way. "Ladies and gentlemen, there's a fire in the hallway. We need to leave the building now, carefully and quickly." Short sentences. "Ladies and gentlemen, there's a fire in the hallway. We need to leave the building now, carefully and quickly." Short. I see. That's what I love your little emoticon, Nazmo. Thank you. But the point is made. Short, powerful sentences communicate more effectively. They make it easier for the person listening to get the message. They make it easier for you to convey the message. And it's the same with writing. Okay, so there it is. I've given you at least one valuable thing today that you can take. Write short, tight sentences to be a better writer, and teach your students to do the same. And now the best part of that is if you can write a short, tight sentence, 3 of them, and put them together, you have just written a paragraph. Congratulations. This is where we take the fear out of writing, where we give confidence to our students and to ourselves. We get one sentence done, then we write another sentence. We make sure we begin with a capital letter. We make sure we use proper punctuation. We make sure we spell check. We make sure it's neat. You're hearing me say all of these things. All of these things are part of the W part, where we apply the checklist. the writing checklist, and I'm going to talk about that next. We use a writing process to tackle or to manage our writing tasks, and we use a checklist to make sure that we're doing it correctly. Do we have correct punctuation and spelling? Do we have correct vocabulary and grammar? These are the important things that we go through the checklist with. And that's also part of the R in Tower. TOWR, think, organize, write, and review. When you make food, and everyone who works with me knows I love to talk about food. I love to cook. I love to eat. Well, when I cook, I don't make food for guests unless I know how it tastes before I serve it to them. I don't write something and turn it in until I read it, or I have someone else read it for me and give me ideas and correct it, tell me what I missed, or ask me questions. When I write legal documents, I show them to my wife to see what she can ask me or suggest. When I write presentations for large groups, I ask my colleagues. We review what we write, we revise it. Sometimes we can only do it ourselves. So what do? Maybe we finish a writing project and we have a cup of coffee, or we have a snack. We take a walk, we take a shower, we sleep on it, we go to sleep, and we get up and we look at it with fresh eyes and a fresh mind. And we review what we wrote, what we've been writing, because I like to think of it as an ongoing process. You're not really done with writing until you're done with the R. You think, you write, or you think, you organize, you write, and then you put in your seasoning. You make sure that it's got enough pepper, it's got enough salt, it's hot enough, it's right for your audience. This is the R in Tower. So that's the writing process. And this process is your friend. It's the method I encourage you to use for all writing tasks. I only have about 7 minutes left because I want to make sure I don't go into Irene's time. So I want to quickly cover some of these things now, because I've given you what I think is the most important piece of advice I can give, which is to write short sentences. But the next thing is about ideas and brainstorming. This is where we begin all writing processes, all writing tasks. What do I have to do? What's my topic? Maybe you have to choose a topic. Maybe you have to come up with it, or maybe it's an assigned topic. So that's first. We get the topic or the assignment, and then we get the instructions, and then we have to get our ideas and turn them into sentences and turn those into paragraphs. And suddenly we're writing. Now, the most important part of this page is at the bottom. Ideas lead to more ideas. When you're trying to write about something, maybe I'm writing about myself to an audience and you don't know about me. And I want to tell you about my earlier years when I was growing up. So I write DOB, Chicago, Columbia, John Marshall. These words don't mean anything to you, but they do to me as the writer. They tell me what I want to write my sentences about, where I was born, where I went to school. And then maybe when I see where I went to school, I expand on that. I went to John Marshall. Oh, you went to John Marshall. Where is John Marshall? It's in Chicago. What did you study at John Marshall? Oh, you studied this. Oh, when did you graduate? So every idea can lead to another idea. And so when we're writing, we're never at a loss for things that we can put into a writing project. It's the things we have to take out or keep out that become the real test when we're preparing something. So, okay, to me, when we write, we talk about organizing. We talk about producing a product based on, we think, and then we organize. Okay, we get the ideas out on the paper and then we put them in order or organized fashion. What an outline does is tells us where we're going to start, where we're going to go, and where we're going to end. It's a roadmap. It's a roadmap for where we're going to go when we're writing or speaking. And the most important part of this part of my presentation, here it is now, part 2 of the 2 things I promised that would be very valuable today. Write short, powerful sentences, and this one now. Outlines save time. You will hear students when you tell them, use an outline when you're working on a test to write a paper or you're writing an oral presentation for a test or a deadline. And the first thing you'll hear is, oh, but they take a lot of time. Outlines take time. I don't have time. You don't have time not to do an outline. Outlines are an investment in your time. They are an investment in your ability to manage the clock and not let the clock manage you. When you use an outline, you will do more creating and writing than you will do erasing and revising, because you took the time at the beginning and not while you're in the middle of writing. When you're under pressure for a deadline, an outline is your friend. It helps keep things clear. It helps keep things organized. It gives you a shopping list of ideas. Did I talk about this? Oh, I forgot this. I better mention this. And it saves you time. So I urge you, teach your students and practice it yourself using outlines. They save time. All right, so that's 2 I've given you today. My work is done. I'm going to go. Now, I have a few more things before I turn it over to Irene. And it's the last thing again at the bottom of this segment. And that is that outlines can be translated. Outlines, you can do an outline in your native language, whether it's Swahili, whether it's Irish, whether it's Italian or English. And then you can translate it into the language that you're going to write or speak in. So this page on the slide perhaps is the most valuable thing that I can give you today, besides that first piece of advice about writing short, powerful sentences. And that is that outlines are a guide. They save time. They help keep our head clear and our ideas clear. They help us to write short, powerful sentences, and they can be translated. Okay. Now, you heard me talk about Tower, the process. And while I was talking about it, I talked about the writing checklist. And this is a checklist that we as English teachers know by heart. But it's good to have it in front of us because it serves as sort of a rubric, which we're going to talk more about later when Irene does her presentation, and the value of rubrics for students and for ourselves, like lesson plans. We tend to think of all of these things, lesson plans and checklists and that, as burdens or things that we do for our bosses, perhaps. But I would argue that these things save time and make our jobs easier when done correctly and done with care. So the first thing we have to do with the writing checklist, let's get through it pretty quickly, but let's remind ourselves again. We have to follow instructions. Did we write enough words? Did we write too many words? Did we do it on time? Did we write enough paragraphs or pages or chapters? And did we get it done within the deadline? Did we write and type in a way that is easy to read, neat, and clear? Whenever I say this, people say, well, how do you type neatly, MJ? Well, you type neatly by leaving paragraph breaks and spaces and indenting. We've all gotten an email or a letter from someone and everything is smashed together. There's no space between the paragraphs and the words. I get an email like that, I can't read it. I get a letter like that, that goes on the pile. I don't read it. It gives me a headache. Well, if you're a student or a teacher and you're trying to get someone to read your work and you want them to enjoy it, you want to make it easy to read, make it neat, make it easy for them to see what you're writing, make it easy for them to hear what you're saying. Make sure you use correct spelling and grammar or spelling and punctuation. These are, again, back to short sentences. If we're beginning a sentence, we begin with a capital letter. If we're ending a sentence, we use periods, exclamation points, question marks. We can use a variety of available punctuation. We can double check our spelling. In this day and age, all of our phones and computers have spell check. There is no excuse for us making mistakes in spelling unless we're tired or we're rushed and we haven't had time to revise and to review. Make sure that we're using correct vocabulary and grammar for the level of the audience that we have. And make sure, again, we're back to tasting our food before we give it to our guests. Make sure you read what you write before you submit it to people. So this is our writing checklist that goes hand in hand with Tower. And I advise that teachers and students alike kind of keep these in front of them visually until they can get them memorized mentally. And then use these all the time when approaching any writing process. Okay, I want to thank everyone for your patience today and for listening to me talk. but this is an important topic and it's dear to me. I love writing, and I'm always sad a little when I hear people say how hard they think it is or how difficult it is to teach. And it's never, to me, it's just a matter of putting in the effort to prepare, to make outlines, to organize ourselves, and we will deliver better writing and better writing lessons. So thank you everyone for coming for session 3, part 1. And now, and Irene, I hope I got your name right. Please enjoy part 2, 10 classroom management tips presented by Irene Maganda. And I hope I got that correct. And Irene, I see you there.
Yeah.
Did I get it right on the name?
No,
No.
you spelled it correctly, but you wrote it wrongly.
It should be M-A-G. I skipped the first A. I'm sorry. But thank you very much. And I want to turn the floor over to you now. I hope I left you enough time. Thank you very much, Irene.
Can you make me a co-host?
Of course I can. I thought I did. Oh, here we go. You're the one person I failed to make a co-host. You have 2 friends working with you today. Kessia and Godlove both have co-hosting powers, so they can help with the breakout rooms. Okay, and I'm going to disappear now. Break a leg.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I hope my network is good today, since it was a disaster yesterday. Okay. Still dealing with the slides, so bear with me. Okay, I hope you can see that now. Okay, so in the last session with Dr. Lydia, we talked about classroom management meaning, and then we looked at students' disruptive behaviors, and we went through some scenarios that we face as teachers, especially in Tanzania. So today we are going straight to large classroom management tips, which are 10. I will try to go slower since there are too many. I always run. So just bear with me. So we are starting with the first tip. The first tip is to build a relationship with your students. So you as a teacher, you have to have a friendly relationship with your students. You have to know their names. You have to know their background, who they are, where they are from. Let the students know each other. This can be done through them working in groups. If you are putting them in groups or in pairs, they will get to know each other. And then you just build that community of your students. So whether you have 20 students, 50 students, 100 or 200, you just have to find a way. You just have to find a means to know these students' names, right? We are teaching in different classes. I understand there are some teachers having 200 students, while there are others having 20 students. So whether your class is large or small, you have to find a way to know these students' names and get to know them a little bit better. So in the chat box right now, please write the techniques you use to memorize or to know your students' names, whether they are 200 or they are 50. What are the ways you use to make sure that you remember all your students' names? We'll be reading the chat box, so please put the answers in the chat box. And Petra, I hope you are here, since this is your group. Petra, are you here?
Fortunately, he has left.
Okay, God love. If people start to put those answers in the chat box, please read them for us.
Okay, perfect.
And I can see no one is writing. Do you guys not know your students' names? If you do, how did you memorize their names? Wow. Is it me or there's no one writing? God love, if you're here, please.
Okay, perfect. I see Frank Mangue saying like through exercise in the class. Again, we have Rashid by providing fun games that will be easier to remember. Again, we have another comment from Teopista. Teopista is saying, first is by having the attendance, and then you can call them every day when you enter in the class. Those are the 3 comments that we have in the chat box.
There is one.
Okay.
I can see more.
I see more comments. We have Hanifa. Hanifa is trying to say, you can create something like drawing a tree or different fruit and write their names and stick in the different places in a classroom. Again, we have Tosigwese saying a class list. We have Maanya through answering questions. But again, we have Furaha by mentioning one's name in every occasion when I wanted to engage with him. We have Restuta to ask them to introduce their names when they are answering a question. Again, we have Judith Joseph to know or identify students is through giving them chance, giving them chance to introduce themselves since they do. Again, we have Abel having attendance daily and always using technique of asking them questions. Elizabeth Magomela saying, I use the attendance register that makes me to know their names easily.
Thank you, God
Thank
love.
you, Irene.
And I think, yeah, that should be the last one. So we can see everyone uses a different technique just to memorize these names. So from there, if you don't know your students' names, so you know that just a few of them, please try to use 1 or 2 of the techniques to make sure that you memorize all your students' names. So the tip number 2 is to develop routine for your classroom. I want to mute someone.
I'm working on it, Irene.
Okay. So tip number 2 is to develop
Maybe
routine.
MJ can make me a co-host so as I can do with the muting because I left and I get joined in and lost the co-host session.
Well, he promised to do it, and I'm very sure he will do it. So having routines with your students and make sure that they participate in these. So whenever you enter in your class, you can have maybe, if you enter a class and then you have a warm-up activity just to make your students active in the class. And then you can have different procedures for them to hand in exercises, assignments, maybe tests and the other materials that you gave them. You can have a procedure for them to sit, but in your classes, most of the Tanzanian classes, students just sit looking straight at the blackboard. But if you have a larger space, you can just find a routine, develop a routine for your students to sit in groups or to sit in pairs, just rearranging your classes whenever you have that time. So for the part of
I apologize, Irene. I'm trying to find whose microphone. Again, let me interrupt Irene for a moment. Please, if you have your microphone unmuted, now would be the time to mute it, please. Allow our presenter to speak without being interrupted. This is really important. Please, everyone. Thank you. I'm sorry, Irene.
No worries. I just muted him. So I talked about warm-up activities. For example, people tend to use the common Simon Says. Others tend to use songs and others tend to use games maybe. So now I want you to go to the breakout rooms. MJ, please, the breakout rooms, and discuss different warm-up activities that you do with your students whenever you enter the class. So please join the room and you have a discussion for 3 minutes. And make sure you don't dominate the group. Please give others a chance to speak as well. I noticed that some people speak a lot. So just share your ideas in few words and let the others share theirs as well. So please join the rooms.
This is wonderful. We've only got a few people in. This is great, Irene. Everyone is really participating now.
Yeah, we only have 2 people
All right.
who are with us. We have Alex and Kasim.
Hi, Alex. Hi, Kasim. If you can, try and join a group. Let's see if I can help you. Well, I've already assigned you. Alex, where are you? You're supposed to be in group 1 if you can join, Alex. And Kasim, you are in room 2 if you can join room 2. And again, I really encourage you to join. This is your chance to speak and to be heard by your colleagues. This is a wonderful opportunity now. Don't miss it, please. Thank you. I'll be here, Irene.
Okay.
Which room should I join?
And Esmo, you're in room 2, I believe.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wonderful. And Deus, let's assign you to room 2. Very good. Deus, I've gone ahead and assigned you to room 2 if you can join. And Kasim, if you can hear me, maybe you're having trouble with your connection. But if you can join room 2, go ahead. Now is your chance. And Deus, same thing. If you can join. And Irene, just let me know when you want to close the rooms. I'm here.
Okay.
You didn't freeze, did you, Irene? Oh, there you are. Okay, you're moving.
It's 1 minute now. Was waiting
Cool.
for the time.
Okay, shall I go ahead and, or 1 more minute?
Yes.
I'll wait till it hits 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock sharp at my end. When I see my clock hit 8 o'clock. Okay, I sent them notice. They've got 1 minute.
Okay, thank you.
Thirty seconds, we should have a full room again.
Okay.
Everyone should be back.
Okay. So I hope you have discussed in your breakout rooms. I'm going to take 3 hands. So whoever raises the hand first will go first. Share with us what you have discussed in your group. We are starting with Rashid. Please unmute yourself and share with us.
Okay. In our group, in group 3, we've discussed that a warm-up can bring students to be not bored. Maybe they were tired, so they become active and more like. So what warm-up will do, like, we can basically ask question about previous lesson. You can go directly to the puzzles, games. And do different activities, or maybe you can
Well, he's muted. Anyone else who wants to share what they have discussed in their rooms? Just raise a hand and I'll see you. Just raise a hand and I'll see you. Wow. Yes, Ewad Gole.
Thank you.
Ewad Gole.
Thank you. From our group, we have discussed on how to warm up the activities that we can warm up with the students. Firstly, through songs or different kinds of dancing or shaking their bodies, asking the previous questions. This is how we have discussed in our group.
So when the students dance, do you dance as well? The teacher,
Yes,
does the teacher dance?
Yes, I participate fully in the dancing so that to warm up the students.
Okay. And I'm looking for the last person. Anyone to volunteer before I move on?
I'm glad I was muted, Irene. I actually laughed when you asked them, do you dance? Because I was thinking the same question.
You unmuted yourself. We heard that. We heard that laugh. And we have Hanifa. I hope this is Hanifa.
Yes. Sometimes you can create a game like a show and tell. So as you can, a day before, you can ask the student to bring something which is familiar to them, and then in the morning, before you start the lesson, you can even ask them. Maybe now you have a chat with the number of the students. For example, maybe it depends on the number of students you have in the class. For example, if you have 45 students, now you choose a student of a day. Now a student of a day now can tell what he has, like show and tell to his friends, and then all become familiar. But the things should be familiar to them. That's it.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Please put all the other ideas in the chat box. People will go through them and try to practice them in their classes. Please put them in the chat box. We'll be reading as well. So moving on to tip number 3. So tip number 3 is to give your students responsibilities. They have to know that they are responsible either for doing activities in the class or for their own learning. So the students have to know that who is responsible in collecting papers, maybe cleaning the blackboard, who is responsible in cleaning the environment, who is responsible to do the homework. Sometimes they shouldn't let others do their homeworks, they should do them themselves. So all these, you just tell your students that who is responsible for this activity. So for the part of homework, classwork, tests and projects, it's for the students themselves. But for the part of maybe cleaning the blackboard and other things, they can just rotate. So just give them the responsibilities and trust them, they will do that. Tip number 4 is to develop set of rules in your class and make sure that your students participate in them. I have 5 rules here. I'm going to read and explain, and then we'll share your rules in the chat box. The first one is to be punctual. You have to tell your students that they have to be punctual, they have to come early on time in the classes. I remember MJ always, it's like a song now, he always sings that if you are not early, you are late. So the students have to be on time on class, whether they were in the laboratory or in the other class, they should come back on time so that you start the sessions. Also, the students have to be prepared. So rule number 2 is to be prepared. They have to have their materials, their pens, their pencils, their exercise books, their textbooks, and other materials ready to learn. The other rule is to be polite. You have to tell your students that they have to be polite. They have to respect other students and teachers as well. They also have to be kind to others. There is that saying which states that if you have to do things that you want them to do to you, something like that. So make sure if you want people to respect you, you have to respect them. If you want people to be kind to you, you have to be kind to them as well. If you want people to love you, you have to love them. So that's the rule. Rule number 4 is to be proactive. A proactive student is the one who knows that this is the time for this activity and then I have to do it without being pushed, without being asked to. So they have to be proactive, do their things on time, and make sure that they know these tasks ahead of time. And the last tip is to be persistent. The students have to be persistent. They have to have that frequency that they have to be their best whenever they are in class. So please share your rules in the chat box, and Godlove is here, is going to read those for us. Write whatever rule you are using in your class, please feel free to write it in the chat box. We'll be reading them. And maybe I will apply them in my class as well. We are learning from each other.
Thank you, Irene. In a chat box, we have Cosmos. Cosmos is saying, in order to make a class active, I used to tell them, draw any picture. That's the only comment we have. Again, we have Rabi saying rule.
Please, guys, share your rules with us. Don't be shy. Whatever you are doing with your classroom, please share with us so that we can learn as well.
Irene, I want to sneak in here while we're waiting for people in the chat box, because I think it's important here to share that we lead by example as teachers. So all of these are for us as well as the rules for our students. We should be early. We should be prepared. We have to be polite and give love to our students and to our colleagues. We have to be proactive and we have to be persistent. This is, it's great that we're teaching our students this, but it's something that we need to practice ourselves. I know when I read this, every time you present this, I look at this and it's like, yep, I got to remember all of these things. So thanks.
Okay.
Thank you, MJ. In the chat box, we have Anifa saying creative art. Elizabeth Magomelo is saying, I used to write some letters and ask my students to rearrange them. Freddie Owala is saying, everybody is responsible for his or her own success. Rabi is saying, number one rule is not allowed to talk anything in the classroom without permission from the teacher. Again, we have Ignacio. Ignacio is saying, I used to ask to introduce before any answer a question. Maanya is saying to follow the timetable. Another rule from Onesmo is saying, I always develop rules with my students. We set do's and don'ts for those who will work for us. Again, we have Anne Kabongo is saying, a class rule, we have to respect one another. Leah Makwenda is saying, respecting others' idea. A class is an. Then we have Michael Songa. Michael Songa is saying, I normally separate them to avoid talks when teaching. Edward Ngole is saying, if you have a question, raise your hand. Elizabeth again, the rule I use is giving them different tasks to make them busy and avoiding them making noise. I'm backing to you, Irene. Thank you.
Thank you, Godlove. I guess I'll move forward. We have already mentioned the rules. So rule number 5 is to have movement in your classes. It is very important for your students to move as you teach, so that sometimes we teach a class of students who maybe have gotten lunch or breakfast and they tend to sleep in the middle of the session. So in order to make these students active so that they will listen to you, they'll get the session and they will understand, you have to create some sort of movement, maybe at the beginning, in the middle, and maybe at the end, so that they will listen to what you are telling them and they will do the tasks that you ask them to do. So these movements can be just simple. They might stand up maybe and make a circle, sing. They might do the stand up, sit down song and other things, like Simon says, just to make them active for maybe 1 to 2 minutes, and then you move on with your class. So make sure you do this in the class so that your students become active. Rule number 6 is to try to add variety to your lessons. We understand some teachers are teaching using lecture method. So instead of you just going in the class, standing at the front and then start preaching to the students, lecturing them, you just have to find some new things to add to your class so that the students become interested to the session. They become interested with the lesson. You can maybe go to your class. Maybe today you are going to the class with the speaker for the speaking activity. Then you have your audio on, the student listens. So they will be interested. First, you've gone with the speaker, that's a new thing, and then they have to listen to the audio and answer the questions. And maybe tomorrow or the next day, you are going with the video. So you're going with the projector. So every day you just have to find a new thing. You add that variety so that your students may understand these lessons better and become interested. This is like when you're cooking. I know MJ loves cooking. So when you're cooking, let's say pilau, we have to add those spices to the food. So those spices are the varieties that you want teachers to add to their lessons so that the students become interested. MJ, you wanted to add something? I see.
No, just that variety for me is, again, there's an expression in English, and I'm sure we've heard it in Africa. Variety is the spice of life. And it really is true, whether it's your food, whether it's your sports, your routines. It's great to have routines and to build on those, but it's wonderful to change it up and to throw in those things that surprise people and ourselves. And I think it's wonderful. Thanks. That's all.
Thank you. Well, okay, thank you. So as teachers, we have to add different things to the classes so the students become interested. They will love you, they will love the lesson, they will love the subject. And if you want them to pass, I'm very sure at the end of the day, they will pass with that flying colors. We are going to the breakout rooms, MJ. Please create the breakout rooms. And guys, when you go to the breakout rooms, please discuss different teaching methodologies you are using in your classes. Those spices that you want you to do in the classes, discuss them. And again, give room for people to speak. Don't dominate the discussion, please. If you're 5, make sure everyone speaks. When you assign a room, please join.
Thank you, Irene. Excellent work. It's great to see so many people going right to the rooms now, too. That's wonderful. That really is. We're getting better at getting them right away.
Yes. We still have, okay, it's Kasim. I hope he goes to the room as well.
Kasim Makalani, if you can hear me, try and join a room if you can. Kasim, if it's possible, do your best. Sometimes technology makes it difficult, or maybe we're shy, but this is our chance to speak and to let others hear us. So take advantage. I'm getting ready for my weekend. I already took my tie off. I'm heading out to lunch after this.
Oh, great.
Well, I have to.
It's nice.
I have
over
to.
Here.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Irene. Yeah.
I was saying it's night over here, so you're heading for lunch and we are going to bed.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'm used to doing these in what we call dark 30, you know, early in the morning when the sun is coming up. And now that we've switched the times, my body, you know, it's like, really? And now I'm doing these when I'm done at 12, we finish these at 12:30. And the funny part is, it feels like 8:30 in the morning to me. So, yeah, it's strange. But I'm really looking forward to coming to Tanzania. That's going to be exciting. That's going to be really special.
You're welcome.
I'm learning as much as I can. I'm following the weather in Weka. It's amazing. Weka, the weather right now is the same every day almost. A little bit of difference with sunlight and rain, but the temperature between 65 and 80 every day. Every day. It's amazing, the consistency. Right now here, I think I mentioned to you guys, it's more like Africa here. It's 90 here and humid, and you know. So I look outside, I expect to see a giraffe go by, you know. I can't wait to see the animals and to experience the culture. I mean, it's going to be amazing. Just what an adventure for me. So.
And trust me, we have the animals, but we don't go to the zoos or the national parks.
You don't have to.
We are here.
Yeah, you don't have to.
We are here. We are not going there. We don't see them.
Yeah, you know, Irene, I haven't gone to a zoo since I was a kid. I never liked it. I don't like seeing animals in captivity. To me, there was always something not right about it. I know that zoos have a purpose and they help educate and they're informative and that. But for me, I was always uncomfortable when I went to them. I never was quite. We had one zoo in Chicago, the Lincoln Park Zoo, where it was outdoors and it was kind of cool. But even that, there was something that just made me uncomfortable. So I'm looking forward to seeing them in the natural setting, you know, from inside a car, you know. I told my brother, I says, I can't wait to see lions. And he says, I hope you'll be inside the car. And I says, well, let's see how brave I am, you know.
Of course, you'll be inside the car. Just for safety.
Of course.
So you can just send that 1 minute. Yes.
Done. Yeah, it is nice to see the more participation now in the breakout rooms.
Yes.
And I'm feeling more myself. I'm feeling more comfortable, you know, pushing people a little now. I didn't really want to do that in the past. You know, I always felt like I didn't, you know, I says, but people seem to respond well to it if you're gentle enough, you know, and so.
And they get to share some ideas. Others, you see some teachers saying that they don't speak English outside the classroom setting. So when they go to these breakout rooms, I'm very sure they are speaking and they get that experience of talking to other people in English.
Yeah, and that's what we want. That's precisely what this is for. You know, I mean, I'm glad to be able to share my experience and all, but it's much better for the others to be speaking more often. So, okay, we're done. Everyone should be back. I'm going to quiet down and give you the floor.
Okay. Okay. Many people are back. So I'm going to take 2 hands. We are running out of time. I'm going to take 2 hands. So whoever raises the hand first will be the first to share. We can't take everyone from each person from each group. We just have 2 hands. We have Frank. So Frank, just unmute yourself. You're the first to speak.
Okay, thank you very much. In our group, we discussed the concern on different ways. For instance, there is known as participatory method. Now there is a certain technique in participatory method known as ball toss. And when we do speak of ball toss, this is a situation whereby a teacher asks questions to students Then ask all students to raise up their hands and throw a ball to them. The one who will be the first to capture the ball will respond to the question and throw it back to the teachers. I do mean to the teacher. Then the action can be progressive until the end of the lesson. Also, another one said maybe by using a music or recorded materials, which are normally touching or that they are capturing feelings of the students. Thank you.
Frank, you talked about throwing a ball. What's the direction of a ball? If you're throwing it to me, obviously I'll catch it. So what's the direction? Are you throwing it maybe on the air so that maybe anyone can catch it? Frank?
No, thank you. I throw it to the whole class. I can choose a certain side where I.
Okay, you just stuck somewhere.
Do you get me?
Yes, at least your network isn't good. So anyone else who wants to share what they discussed? I don't see hands. Why? Did you guys discuss something? Wow.
I'm surprised that English teachers are so shy.
Or maybe they want to keep the knowledge to themselves. They don't want to share.
Oh, wow. That's not fair.
They're
No, but
becoming
again, I
greedy.
do, Irene, I want to take a moment to encourage everyone, please. This is your chance, folks, to participate and share. And remember that there's an international audience. When we tape record these, one of these sessions will be at Facebook, being shared with people all over the world. This is a chance to let people hear your voice everywhere. So please. All right, Irene, I'm sorry. I just had to give my little speech.
Okay, we have Onesmo. So we'll take Onesmo and then we'll move on. Onesmo, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Eileen and MJ. I didn't want to be the main speaker. In room 2, we had a discussion and the teacher presented the good method they apply. Some mentioned the group discussion, some mentioned the interactive, think, pair, share. But I'm wondering why they're not showing up. But, they had good ideas in room 2. Maybe it's a network problem.
Or maybe they're shy.
Oh, yeah, all together.
The same applies to group 1 too.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Good love.
Yes.
Can you share what you discussed in room 1?
Okay, in room 1, we have discussed the several methodology, including WKL, think, pair, share, using songs, using projector, recording audio. All these kind of activities, they were modifying the learning in the classroom and avoiding the teacher to be maybe boring. For example, I shared with them a song like which I can use to sing and mentioning the list of the things that we learned, like if you're happy and mention types of nouns and all that. So it was funny and good. Thank you, Irene.
Thank you, good love. We'll take Restituta and then we'll move on. Restituta, yeah.
Yes, thank you. We discussed that in order to avoid the student to be bored in the class and to avoid the teacher to be the centered method is to have a movement in a class to make sure our students are active and preparing, guiding students to be in groups. And then after, one of the representatives from each group should present what they have discussed or something, or another. You can have an individual presentation that to give them a topic that we are going to discuss about this issue. Then everyone individually to prepare herself or himself for presentation. This always make the class to be active. Thank you.
Okay. So you're using the presentation method. So moving on, please guys put the other methodologies, techniques in the chat box. Everyone will go through them. The tip number 7 is to use signals in your class and make sure that your students know the signals. maybe you clap your hands to make sure that they keep quiet. Someone is having. Okay. So make sure you use these signals. Maybe you clap your hands to tell your students to stay quiet. Maybe you flip. So whatever signal you are using, make sure you, maybe if you're clapping, they have to stay quiet. If you're flipping the finger, maybe they have to turn back or change the group and things like that. Make sure they know these signals. So whenever you apply them, they'll just do what you want them to do. And tip number 8 is rubrics, and MJ is going to explain about this one. We use rubrics in both writing and speaking activities. MJ?
Yeah, I'm going to be quick too. Thank you, Irene. I'm going to be quick on this, folks. Rubrics serve a variety of purposes that help students and teachers. That's the thing we need to remember. They help us both. They tell our students what we expect of them and how they'll be graded on any task we give them. And a rubric gives us the guidance while we're reading some, if we're doing a writing task and we're reading it and trying to grade it for points, or we're listening to someone speak and we're trying to grade it for points. Okay. Perhaps you're even doing a speaking test and you're recording the test and you're listening for all the things in your rubric. What the rubric does is serve as an outline for what's expected in a task, whether it's writing or speaking. They're very helpful for students and for us. Thanks, Irene.
Thank you, MJ. We are going to tip number 9 is to use the teacher's notebook. So we have, I'm very sure every teacher has an exercise book or a counter book where you keep records of your students, their tests, their exercises, their examinations, their homeworks, and things like that. This notebook or this exercise book, they will help you maybe to understand your students. If they are dropping or if their scores are increasing, you will find a way whether to help them, to advise them, to try to give them more activities, to try to give them more exercises. So this just keep the records, and then it will help you to help your students in class. And the last tip is to address your classroom management by using PEP, that is proximity, eye contact, and personal touch. By proximity, we mean you move closer to a student, maybe who is disrupting the class, who is speaking, and then if you're that closer, the student will just get that feeling that you are watching them and that you moved that closer because of them, and then they will stop doing whatever they were doing. And by the eye contact, we know how to look at our students. If the student is disrupting, you just give them the eye, and then they will change. We have our eyes as teachers, we know ourselves. And then you have that personal touch where you have to touch the student who is either speaking or who is disrupting the class. MJ, you had something to talk about this part of the culture yesterday. You did that.
Yes.
I want you to tell this too.
Thank you, Irene. And it's just, again, from a Western view, when I was teaching in Saudi Arabia, it was great to get close to your students, but you wanted to be very careful about ever having physical contact. It was culturally taboo or forbidden. What we use the word haram in Saudi. But there are alternatives to it. You can tap on the desk. You can tap on the notebook. You can clap. You can, again, I love standing close to people. That's one of my favorites because I'm 6'2" and I'm kind of a big guy. So when I come stand next to you, I'm hard to ignore. So it's fun. But yeah, I think proximity, it also shows your students that you're part of them. It puts you in the group. And I think that's important. It's, it's not so much a power thing as it is, I'm here, I'm up close. And, you're not going to ignore me. We're together in this. And so I think proximity and eye contact and the personal touch, they all kind of go together to create something in the classroom that gives you a sort of a connection. So thanks, Irene. I appreciate that.
So we are coming to the end of the presentation. If I run, please forgive me for that. We're just running out of time. And MJ, you muted yourself. Just continue speaking, reading, by the way.
You're putting me on the spot. Okay, this is important. I love this paragraph or two paragraphs. And so thank you, Irene. As teachers, we have a lot of responsibilities. We're teachers, we're parents, doctors, psychologists, psychiatrists, police, security guards. We help children and students grow physically, spiritually, psychologically, and morally. When they fail, the world blames us. They forget that we're not responsible for what they do. We only do our best to teach them. We don't have superpowers. We're all trying our best, just like our students. In all of these, we need to be patient and positive. That to me is the best part of teaching, is coming in every day and trying to be positive with your students and patience. And I will say it now, asanteni sana, from me and from Irene. So thank you all very much. And Irene, special thanks to you. So is there anything you'd like to add at the end now? Here?
Yes.
Asante.
Oh, you're breaking up on Nesmo. Try again. Say again.
He wanted to say asanteni sana.
Asanteni sana. Very good.
Thank you.
There's my brother.
Santeni sana.
Very good. Very good. Another one I know is what was the Qualeo? I'm trying to remember now. For coming back. Thank you. I'll see you next time. So I'll learn it though. I'm going to be there in September, inshallah, God willing, and you will teach me what I need to know when I get there. All of you. So, but I want to thank everyone for coming. Irene, special thanks to you for a wonderful presentation.
I want to say something.
Please go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
So Petro is here, I hope. So everyone, Petro will send you a video. The video is about classroom management mistakes that teachers make and some solutions to them. So please go through the video, listen carefully, watch carefully, and try to learn something from it and then apply it in your classes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Irene. Thank all of you again. I want to in particular thank our team, Kessia and Godlove and Petro, everyone for all of the work that you do to make this possible. Irene, wonderful presentation again. And thank you for all your energy. Mr. Masuya, I see you there, my captain up in the corner. How are you, brother?
It was a nice session. Thank you very much.
Oh, my pleasure. And thank you again, Irene. So is there anything you want to add, sir? I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
The only challenge we have is the attendance for the group 4, is the attendance, but we'll work on that.
Well, that's all we can do. We do our best. We'll do with whoever we have. We'll every week or every 2 weeks, we will try to give you something valuable that you can take back and use in your lives, in your classrooms, that will make things easier and better for you and your students. So all right, listen, thank you everyone so much for taking time out of your busy schedules. I respect your time and your efforts. I love your commitment. I love Tanzania. I can't wait to come and be with all of you and learn from you, learn about culture and food and the music and the dancing, all of it. I can't wait. So thank you all. Until our next session, please be safe. Let's see some faces now, video. I see Ignacio smiling. Nice to see you. Your word. Ann, thank you. Robbie.
Where are you, Godlove?
You can't see me. I'm in the dust. You can't see me. I'm in the
very
dust.
good.
I'm in the bus.
And I can see Ann. But listen, everyone, thank you so much. Everyone, please be safe. Okay.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, MJ.
All right. Love you all. Take care, please. All right. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.